Okay, great. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for taking some time to learn a little bit more about Get Connected, which is Serve Ohio's new volunteer engagement web portal. I'm Rebecca Vierhoff-Kiss. I'm the Outreach and Education Officer at Serve Ohio, and I'm really excited to be with you guys here today and give you a peek at this really cool new program that we have to offer for the field. If you can, hopefully you all can access the chat box. I'd love to just get an idea of who's on the call today. So if you could just put in your name and your organization and what's the biggest challenge that you face in volunteer recruitment right now. And I see Lisa has said that her biggest challenge is COVID-19, and I get that. I'm sure everybody else gets that too. So thanks for sharing that, Lisa. Okay, so the bulk of our webinar today is going to be spent actually doing a demo of the site so that you get a little bit more information about how to create an agency profile and how to create volunteer opportunities on your agency profile. But before I get into that, I want to give you an idea of the strategy behind the Get Connected system and why we've decided to embark on this journey of having a statewide volunteer portal. As I go through the webinar and the content today, I really encourage you to ask questions if you have them. You can either unmute your audio line and ask over the audio, or you can put a question in the chat box, which I'll be monitoring throughout the duration. So I very much encourage you to ask questions as they come. So why Get Connected? Well, Serve Ohio has provided resources for volunteer engagement professionals for years now. We offer grants for National Days of Service. We offer professional development opportunities, including an annual conference every year. And we have awards that we distribute to volunteers across the state to highlight outstanding volunteerism. But the past few months, as we've been working pretty closely with Governor DeWine's office and others in the state of Ohio, we've seen a huge gap in having a statewide infrastructure for volunteer engagement. So to be clear, there are definitely volunteer hubs for volunteer connector organizations, as we call them, or volunteer centers in some of the big cities around the state that do an outstanding job of compiling volunteer opportunities that are available in their local community and providing a one-stop shop to search for volunteer opportunities for volunteers. And there are lots of organizations doing that really, really well across the state. But there are lots and lots of gaps in that structure, specifically in rural areas across the state where there is no volunteer infrastructure and volunteers are kind of have to go at it alone, and organizations don't really have a technology that can support their volunteer efforts. So our goal with this site is to provide that volunteer infrastructure in rural areas of the state, as well as to try to send volunteers to local volunteer centers in areas that have it. So I'll show you how we do that as we get to the demo, but that's really why we've decided to do that. If we had a volunteer infrastructure at the state level during this COVID-19 crisis, Governor DeWine would have certainly put a call out to volunteer and said, go to serveohio.org to get connected to a volunteer opportunity, but that just didn't exist. And we are making that exist now so that we have that resource moving forward in our state. It also will allow us to put out specific calls to service. So if we wanted to do a statewide call to service around specific initiatives, we can do that with this system. Specifically during National Mentoring Month, we have the ability to group volunteer opportunities together. So we can group all mentoring volunteer opportunities together and then really do some awareness campaigns around specific issues or specific days of service statewide. So I think that this system will benefit all of us in the long run and hopefully inspire more folks to volunteer and to get connected to their local organizations where we all know that's where the relationships actually take place. So any questions about kind of the reason that we're doing this work or our strategy for this work moving forward? Okay, great. So where do you guys come in? We want to highlight the volunteer opportunities that you have in your organization. I know you all are doing outstanding work and working with volunteers on a daily basis, and we want to help with that how we can. So we would love for you to post your volunteer opportunities on our site, and I will show you how to do that here in just a minute. But what's in it for you? I know that volunteer administrators have a million places to post their opportunities, and I get it. I was a volunteer administrator working in organizations in previous positions, so I understand that it can be frustrating to post your opportunity in multiple places. So hopefully this site will be a time saver for you in that it has automatic notifications that go out to volunteers when they sign up for things as reminders. It sends out a survey about what their volunteer experience was like. And so it really does automate a lot of things to make it easier to manage volunteers. Another nice thing about the site is that it matches the target interests of the volunteer and the target impact area of the nonprofit. So when you create your agency profile, you can select actual causes and areas of interest that your organization addresses, and those will be matched with volunteers when they create their profile. And if it matches, then the system will send volunteers automatically opportunities that match their interest areas. So it's nice. It keeps in touch with the volunteers and it sends them opportunities that are really targeted toward their interest areas. Hopefully it will help to build meaningful relationships. There's a nice function on the site where volunteers can fan an organization, which basically just means they like an organization, and then they will be sent any new opportunities or any updates to your organization automatically when you update. Hopefully you can gain exposure to a statewide audience, and then it has some really nice features, which I will go through specifically in just a minute. So the site, hopefully you've all had a chance to look at it, and I know some of you have even created a profile. So the site is www.servohio.galaxydigital.com. The site is not being promoted to the public yet. Throughout the month of June and probably the first half of July, we are doing outreach to nonprofits across the state and really building up the amount of volunteer opportunities that are in the system before we publicly launch, hopefully in mid-July. And as we know, these types of systems, it's always a work in progress. So when we feel like we have a pretty good representation of the entire state, we will publicly launch, and then we're always going to be updating it and working on keeping the information fresh and getting new opportunities as we can. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the actual site, and we can do an actual demo, and I'll kind of show you the features, and then we'll go through and we'll create an agency profile, and we will create sample volunteer opportunities. So before I start that, please put in any questions that you might have in the chat box, and I will answer them as they come. So this is, I pulled up Galaxy Digital. You'll see that it's a pretty basic website. It's pretty simple. And there are lots of ways to find opportunities. The first way is right here on the center of the screen. It says volunteer opportunities, and it's a button. If you click that, then you will see a general list of volunteer opportunities available in Ohio. Now, this is all opportunities available in Ohio. So if a volunteer comes here, they're going to have to do some searching. They can either search by a phrase if they're interested in something specific, like working with kids or working with the environment or something. So they can search that way. They can sort by when the opportunity was actually put into the system, which doesn't seem extremely useful for a statewide site, but they can do that if they want to. Or there are lots of filters that volunteers can use to find opportunities. So in this case, since it's a state site, distance is probably going to be what they'll search by, or they can search by county or any of the other things here. So let's just do distance first. You can select how far away from a given zip code. I'm going to use 43215 because I know we'll have some opportunities pop up there. And all the volunteer opportunities, multiple pages of volunteer opportunities in the Columbus, Ohio area. You can also put multiple features in. So if you want to search by the distance as well as whether it's a family-friendly opportunity, you can do that. And that will narrow the search even further. And then say you maybe want something family-friendly in Columbus that is food prep. So you can search even further for that. So you can really refine the searches and drill down into finding a volunteer opportunity that's actually appropriate. So that's the first way, just that general search. You can also see this red ribbon here, and this is our way of helping to funnel volunteers to their local volunteer centers. So this red ribbon will always be there, and it says some Ohio counties are served directly by a volunteer center, not Serve Ohio's Get Connected platform. Click here to find your volunteer center. So if you click here, there's a list of the counties as well as the organizations that serve that county. So you'll see, maybe if you live in Delaware, Suzanne, I know you're on the phone, so I'm going to pick on you. If you're in Delaware and you want to find a volunteer opportunity, you would click here and then be redirected to Connections Volunteer Center, which is the volunteer center that serves Delaware County. So again, our goal is to connect folks to the systems that are already in place. But you'll see it says if you don't see your county listed, then you can click here to search for volunteer opportunities on Get Connected, and it'll take you to that search function here. For agencies who want to post their volunteer opportunities on the site, similar scenario. So this first blue box, interested in registering your organization, please click here first. If you click here, you'll see a list of local volunteer centers across the state. We really encourage organizations to post with your volunteer center. Again, we are here to support what's already happening in your community. We don't want to duplicate services, and we don't want to ask you to duplicate where you post things. So if you are in a county that's served by one of these volunteer centers, we encourage you to post with that volunteer center. If there is some reason where maybe a United Way doesn't serve all organizations in their given community and you want to post with Get Connected, that's totally fine, but we just ask that you post with them first. So if you don't see the county that you live in is served by a volunteer center, then you click to register your organization to sign up with Get Connected. I know that that is a little bit clunky, the way that that works, but again, it's important to us to support local efforts. So does anybody have any questions about navigating that process? Okay, great. So to sign up your organization, you would come to this sign up your organization page. We ask some pretty simple information to create an agency profile on the site. We ask for the organization name, the organization manager email. That would be the person who is responsible for volunteer engagement at the organization. Address, the contact person who would be your contact at the organization for volunteers. You can add additional email addresses that will also get notified if a volunteer registers. So if you have a director of volunteers with your organization and you also have a volunteer coordinator and you want the director of volunteers to be the manager of this profile, you can also put your volunteer coordinator's email address in here, and that person will also get emailed when a volunteer registers for an opportunity. The organization email may or may not be the volunteer director's email. It might just be an info@servohio.org website or email as well. So if you have an organization email, a generic one, put that there. If not, just put the same email of your volunteer manager. Your phone number, and then your causes. So like I mentioned, the system has smart technology that connects folks to causes that they're interested in. So this is where you would select the causes that your organization addresses. So maybe you have an environmental program and it revolves around community, and you also do some environmental education. You can put as many as makes sense for your organizations here. And if you want to get rid of them, if you made a mistake, you can just exit out. This customized link is just a kind of like a suffix that goes at the end of the URL, and that way it's a little less clunky. You can actually copy and paste the link to your agency profile page and send it to potential volunteers, or even embed it in your website for organizations that don't have a volunteer management system. This can be used as that. And so each organization has a unique URL, and you can kind of customize what that looks like. So that's what this button does. Put in your hours of operation. What we do, again, you can look at these little question boxes and it pops up a little bit more info. This is how you're going to communicate to potential volunteers, your programs and activities, and this is just the snapshot of your organization so that they can see what you're all about and see whether they want to get involved. And then the Who We Are box, this is just your mission. So who we are is just like your mission or vision statement. And then what we do is really the meat and potatoes of what your organization is all about. You can put your social there as well, Facebook and Twitter, and then also your organizational website. You can upload a video. If you have an organizational video, you can put that there, contact information, and your password. So then you will request an account. You'll receive an email verifying that you've requested an account, and I will get an email saying that there is a new organization who is wanting approval. We do approve all of the organizations when you create an agency profile. We do not approve it when you create new volunteer opportunities. We just want to make sure that the agencies that are registering for the system, it's a good fit, and making sure that it's not a duplicate and things like that. So we do approve agencies when they register, but once you're approved as an agency, which happens in very short order, at the very latest, like 24 hours. But again, I'm going to get an email and approve it as soon as I see that email. Once you have that approval, then you're good to go. So that's how you create a page. Now let's look at a created page. On the side of there's a dashboard on the side over here, and if you click on organizations, you can see a listing of all organizations that are active on the Get Connected site. And you can actually search for organizations as well. So I'm going to search for Equality for All, which is my test site. So this is a fake organization, but this is what we're going to look at to see the back end of the site. So if you click on that organization, this is what the public-facing agency portal looks like. And again, you can create this unique URL at the top of the page and send that to anybody, and they can come directly here. So the who we are and what we do is listed at the top. There is a space for a logo. I did not upload a logo here because I don't have a fake logo for Equality for All, but we encourage you to upload a logo so that that looks really nice there and you've got your branding for your page. If you scroll down, you can see that this organization has 2 available volunteer opportunities. One is for a garden harvester, and the other one is to empower youth as a reading tutor. So all of your volunteer opportunities will be listed here, and here in just a second, we'll go through how to create a volunteer opportunity. The causes that you selected are listed over in the causes section, so that volunteers can go and see exactly what it is that you guys do. You can upload some photos as well, which I encourage you to do because it makes it look really nice. It fills in the space really well, and it just gives a better picture of what your organization is all about. The contact information that we put in here, your location, it automatically pulls in a Google map so that volunteers can see exactly where you're located. Got a link to your website, and then also your office hours are down at the bottom there too. So this is what the agency portal looks like. So let's log in, and I'm going to show you what the back end of the system looks like for you all when you create a volunteer agency portal. Okay, so this is the back end of the site. So you can see that Equality for All is the organization, and you have up at the top, you have some different tabs for everything that you will need to manage volunteer opportunities. I also want to show you this big orange ribbon at the top. Click here to open Organization Manager's Toolbox. If you click that, a new tab will come up. And if you scroll down a little bit, these are all really great resources if you get stuck or if you have specific questions about how to use the site. These are all really great resources that you can just check to get answers really quickly. If you don't feel like going through these FAQs and you just want to email somebody at Serve Ohio, you can just click this Contact My Site Manager button, and it will pop open an email that will go directly to me, and you can just ask me any questions that you have. And please don't ever hesitate to ask me questions as you have them. I'm really here to help and want to help with this process. So don't ever hesitate to contact me. So let's go back to the agency portal page. So when you open this page, it will default to this Edit tab at the top. And this is the information that you put in when you created your organizational profile. This is all publicly facing information. So if you want to change the contact person that is on the front end of your agency portal, you would just change it on this page. Also, here's where you can update your logo. The logo should be at least 540 by 540 pixels, so it should be a square logo. If you don't have a square logo, you might have to kind of do some finagling to make sure that it doesn't stretch your photo out, but it's pretty intuitive, so hopefully you don't have any trouble uploading a logo there. And all of this, again, is the information that you put in when you created your profile that you can update at any time. If you do make an edit, you just click on one of these update organization info buttons, and that will update the entire page. But they're listed in lots of places throughout the page so that you don't forget to update and you always have ready access to that. And then if you scroll all the way to the bottom, this is where you can add photos. And again, I encourage everyone to add photos because it looks really nice and it makes your profile a little bit more engaging to potential volunteers. Okay, you'll see there's this tab here that says View. That will just take you to the public-facing agency portal page. So if you make an update and you want to see what it looks like, you can just go to this View button and it'll take you to the front end of the site. Opportunities. This is what you will click, and this is where you will go to create volunteer opportunities. Like you saw on the front end of this agency portal page, there were 2 volunteer opportunities listed, and those 2 are here. All of your opportunities will be listed in this table, and you have the ability to edit each opportunity. You can view all of the responses to your opportunity. So those are the volunteers who either registered or expressed interest in your volunteer opportunity. They'll all be listed under this responses tab. And then you can view it, and this is just a front-facing view if you want to see what it looks like after you edit. So we're actually going to create a new opportunity, and you do that, go back, with this Add New Opportunity button here. So that's how you would create a brand new opportunity. And I'm sure most of you have done this a million times, right? Put in volunteer opportunities in different databases, but I'm going to just go through it so that you have, a good foundation for what it looks like on this site. So I'm going to create just a general volunteer opportunity here, and I've already kind of put together some language. So we're going to try to recruit an administrative support specialist. Obviously, your title should be a little bit catchy. I don't think this one is particularly catchy, but something that really stands out to volunteers and makes them want to give their time to your organization. So the title, you want to put in a nice description. So I'll put in just this general description here about what we're looking for. And you can see that you can add links to this part. You can add photos as well. So you can make this as beautiful as you want it, or you can just add text. That's completely up to you. You can make it public or private. If you, let's say maybe you have a corporate group and you wanted all of your corporate volunteers to volunteer for a done-in-a-day project, and you wanted them all to register on an opportunity on this site, you can make it private so that nobody else can see it. And then there's a specialized link that you would send out to your group of corporate volunteers. So this can be used in that way too. Or private, it's searchable for anybody who comes on the site. This initiative tab, this is really, like I was saying before, we have the ability to put opportunities in certain focus areas under one big umbrella. So, Ohio AmeriCorps opportunities, if you are an AmeriCorps program manager and you're putting in your AmeriCorps positions, you would select this initiative. Or we have a virtual volunteering initiative, you can put that there. But if it doesn't make sense to put it under any of these, you would just select no initiative. So for duration, there are a couple of selections that you can make in terms of the duration of your volunteer opportunity. So I'll talk about those really quickly. An ongoing volunteer opportunity is something that you are always looking for volunteers for. If you're always looking for mentors to come into your program, or you're always looking for, maybe you're always looking for administrative folks to come into your program, you would want to select ongoing, and it never expires. It's always available for folks to find. If you have a volunteer opportunity that is kind of ongoing, but it's only ongoing for a specific period of time. So for instance, if you're looking for volunteers to help out in a school, and you're only going to be recruiting volunteers during the school year, you would select runs until, and then you would create those parameters on when you wanted the volunteer opportunity to be active. Same if you're only recruiting summer volunteers for stuff, you would select runs until, and then on the date that you say that you want it to expire, it will automatically expire. Happens On is a one-time volunteer opportunity with a specific date and time and a specific end time. So if you have a volunteer project that year, you have people coming out and working in your garden on a Saturday afternoon, you would select Happens On, and it's just a one-time opportunity. Multi-date is really for unique opportunities that might happen in a specific time period. So for example, it might be like an alternative spring break program through higher ed, or something that spans multiple days and has multiple different types of shifts that people can register for. You would use this multi-date. I suspect that most people will not use multi-date. It's pretty specialized and pretty specific. Custom shifts is for opportunities that you might have, all week. You might have a shift on a Monday for an opportunity, and you might need the same type. You might have the same opportunity that occurs on a Tuesday, but a different time. So for instance, let's say you have something and you want to recruit volunteers on June 17th at 9 a.m. You need them for 4 hours, and you can have 20 people. Add that shift. So there's a shift available for June 17th, 2020 at 9 a.m. for 4 hours. And let's say you also need people to do the same opportunity, but you want them to come on Thursday at 9 a.m. Well, let's say you need them at 1, and then you need them for 4 hours, and you need 20 people, and then you have a second shift there. So you can put multiple shifts for the same opportunity that happen on different days and times. Hopefully that's clear. There's also recurring shifts, and this is if you always need volunteers to come and serve food at your soup kitchen on Mondays from 9 to 11. You can click on recurring shifts and then say you need them weekly on Mondays, starting tomorrow and running until, maybe August 20th, and then so on and so forth. The time that you need them for 2 hours, and you always need 15 people to fill that spot. So that's a recurring shift, and this will create opportunities for every Monday between June 17th and August 20th. So it's nice that it automatically generates those. So if you have questions about the different types of durations, please put it in the chat box and I will be happy to address that. But I think there are so many options here because it tries to meet the needs that we all have when we're recruiting volunteers. I'm just going to select this one as ongoing. So for ongoing opportunities, under the hours button, you want to say in general, how many hours per day will this volunteer be serving? I'm going to say they'll on average be serving 8 hours a day from 9 to 5 p.m. Allow team registration. Do you want teams to register for an administrative opportunity? No. Would I want teams to be able to register for a garden opportunity? Probably. I would love to have a group of people come to help in a garden. So it just depends on what you want. You can also say teams only if that makes sense for you. I'm going to say no here. The minimum age, I'm going to put it 18. Maximum age, I'm going to leave blank. If you leave it blank, it will say and older. So this particular opportunity will say 18 and older. Is it family friendly? No. Is it outdoors? Unfortunately, no. If it was outdoors, I could say yes, and then a box pops up to put an inclement weather plan so that your volunteers can know what would happen if you have some bad weather. I'm going to say no. Is it wheelchair accessible? Yes. We have an accessible building. And then attributes, these are just little snippets of information that you want to really stand out for volunteers. So maybe, this is kind of silly, but maybe you'd say, we have unlimited coffee. So come to our office and do admin work and you can have lots of coffee. You can add that. And you can also, you can add as many of these as you want to. I'm going to say, maybe your office gets cold, and I'm going to say, please wear layers. So you'll see when I show you the front end of this opportunity that these little attributes stand out. Is it a virtual opportunity? No. And then the address, where is this happening? And this will automatically pull in a Google map on the opportunity. All right, finally, interests. This again is the matching technology. This is how the system will send opportunities that match a volunteer's interest. So for this specific opportunity for administrative support specialist, I'm going to say clerical. I'm going to say nonprofit professional, and maybe I'll say social because, we have a really engaging office and lots of people are really nice working there. So I'll put those as the interests. Additional notification recipients, if you have other staff in your office that will be working with the volunteer that you want them to be notified when somebody registers for this opportunity, you can add their email to the opportunity. I'm going to leave that off because maybe it's just me that I want to be notified when a volunteer registers, but you can add additional people to this, and you can add a waiver. So maybe you have a youth waiver. If it's something that is available for youth, you can upload a waiver here as well. I'm going to create the opportunity. And it has updated. Up at the top, here is the link to the opportunity that you can copy and paste into a new tab. And this is what it looks like. So you have your administrative support specialist. It's an ongoing opportunity from 9 to 5 every day. The interest area, it's clerical, it's nonprofit professional, and it's social. The volunteer can click on this organizational tab, and if you click on it, it'll take it to your agency profile. Description here that we put in, and then here's the additional details that we were able to put in. So it says about the age range, if it's family friendly, outdoors, wheelchair accessible, and then these attributes that we put in are listed here. So that's why you would put it attributes. It really just is little snippets of information that sweetens the pot for volunteers. And then this respond button, this is what a volunteer will click on to register for this opportunity. Okay, If we go back to our agency profile page and we click under opportunities, our administrative support specialist opportunity is listed here, and it is active. Questions about creating opportunities or any of the way that the functionality works? Okay, I want to show you just a couple more things. If you click on the Stats tab, this is the tab that gives you reporting information. This is where you can export the responses to your opportunity. This is where you can see a general list of all of the volunteers who have registered for your volunteer opportunities. It all says Rebecca Veerhoff KISS on here because I'm the only person in the test site. So ideally all of the respondents here are going to be different names of people, but it all says Rebecca Veerhoff KISS because I'm the volunteer who registered for these opportunities. There's also a date range, so you can see it defaults to what's happened in the past month, but you can filter this however you want to see how many people have viewed your page, and how many total fans you have as well. So this is a really nice page that gives you all of the data that you'll want in this portal. Schedule just provides a schedule for different shifts that you have. So this wouldn't have ongoing opportunities, but if you have lots of one-time opportunities or lots of volunteer shifts, they are listed. They'll be listed on this, and you can actually click on it and see who has registered for a given shift and their information here. So you know that you have this volunteer who's coming on this particular volunteer shift. Time tracking is where you will approve volunteer hours. So when a volunteer has actually served at your organization, they can go back and submit their hours for approval. When they do that, they will show up here for you, and you can approve or deny a volunteer's hours depending on whether they actually showed up or not. You can also manually type in volunteers who registered. So if they don't submit their hours for approval, you can find, you can look under maybe this Empower Youth as a reading tutor, you find your opportunity, and then a list of the volunteers who have registered for that opportunity will be listed, and you can select them. The date they worked, the number of hours that they worked, if it makes sense to put in anything about the miles that they traveled, there's that option for you there. You don't have to put in anything for there. You can put in a description if you want to. You don't have to. If you had a volunteer project and let's say your volunteer registered on the site, but they also brought their mom with them and you want to capture that, you can say, yes, this person did bring somebody with them. They brought one additional volunteer and it was their mom. And then you can submit that hour entry and that will automatically count those hours toward that volunteer opportunity. There's also some cool functionality to be able to check in. If you want to use the system as an actual check-in, you can choose your opportunity. Maybe we will do Garden Harvester because that makes a little bit more sense. So let's click on Garden Harvester and click on the shift that is happening on June 20th. Check in users. Oh. It's not popping up now, but It actually will have a check-in kiosk to where a volunteer, if you have an iPad, a volunteer can just put in their name and it will automatically check them in. And so they don't have to worry about submitting their hours or anything. It acts as a sign-in sheet for you. So get in there and play around with it a little bit for that. So that's really the bulk of the site. And again, if you hit this view button, you go to your page, and you can always see what volunteers will see when they sign up. So again, that's what I have. I am really appreciative that you took the time to learn a little bit more about the system. And I would love to open it up now if anybody has any questions or comments. Very open to any feedback that you want to give. I'll stick around for another few minutes. And if you don't have any questions, feel free to disconnect. And again, thank you. And I hope that you will use the site and tell others about the site as well, because I think we have the same goal, and we would love to funnel more potential volunteers to your organization. So thanks so much.
Hi, Rebecca, this is Whitney. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, I missed the first few minutes. I was finishing up a previous webinar. Is there a cost to this, and how can we access it? If I missed that information, I apologize.
Yeah, thank you for that. No, there's not a cost. It is free. And your second question was, how do you access it? So if you go to serveohio.galaxydigital.com and you click let me go to the dashboard here. I have to log out. There is on the home page, you just click here to register your organization, and you complete that agency profile. So it's that easy, and it's absolutely free.
This is awesome. Thank you for putting this together.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm really excited. And Whitney, I know you've received a mini grant in the past, and this is something that we're going to really promote to our mini grant recipients as well, as a way to manage their volunteers if they, if it makes sense. So
this is great. I mean, because small organizations generally don't have, I mean, I can speak for myself, we don't have volunteer management systems, and other pretty large and thorough ones are costly. So this is right on time.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that's great. And that's our goal, is to make it something that's easily accessible for organizations that don't have something in place, and that gives you what you need. I have a question in the chat box from Megan Mackey. Hi, Megan. Long time no talk. So Megan is a teacher and has an amazing service learning program in Benton County. So Megan asks, is this something that I can use to organize my student volunteers at my school? Yes, Megan, absolutely. You can make your volunteer opportunities private so that they are not open to others, general volunteers, and then your students can all create volunteer accounts and can sign up that way. And then you will have all of the information to manage your volunteers and figure out who is doing what opportunity and all of that. So yes, absolutely, Megan. And if you want to have a one-on-one to talk a little bit more about how you can make that work for you, I'm happy to have that conversation with you.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Yeah, you're welcome. Suzanne, hopefully you don't mind if I just kind of say your question out loud. So Suzanne runs a volunteer center. Will agencies in Delaware County be denied to register on Get Connected since there's a volunteer center in Delaware? So yes, Suzanne, that's why we are asking for approval. That's why we approve all of the organizations when they register. So when an organization registers, I go through and approve or deny specific organizations, and that is one thing I'm looking for, and I will deny an organization and send them to the volunteer center that serves their local community. Because again, that is our goal. We want to support the infrastructure that already exists. And Suzanne asks, What platform is Get Connected created in, and was it created uniquely for just Serve Ohio? The platform is Galaxy Digital, is the name of the platform. And more information than some of you probably want, but there are 9 organizations, 9 volunteer centers across the state who are currently using Galaxy Digital. And we are working on getting data agreements in place with them so that those volunteer centers opportunities automatically feed up to the statewide Galaxy Digital portal. And so that's one of the reasons that we chose this platform, was because we are able to just have organizations feed up. Our long-term goal is to actually create local Galaxy Digital licenses in rural areas and areas that don't have a volunteer center, to have those managed at the local level, but then also feed up to the statewide system as well. So we can minimize some of this clunkiness of go to this place, go to this place, go to this place. Ideally, in most scenarios, they would all just kind of be using Galaxy Digital. And we do have some funding in place to support organizations who want to create a local license. So Suzanne, if that was ever something that you were interested in the future, I'd be happy to have that conversation. But no, it wasn't created uniquely for Serve Ohio. It's a pretty robust system that lots of folks across the country are using.
Oh, great. Thanks, Rebecca.
Yep, you're welcome. All right, any other questions before we all go? All right, I'm going to type my email in the chat box, which you probably all have, but just in case, reach out at any point if you have any questions or concerns about the site. I'm happy to work with you, again, on a one-on-one basis if that's the kind of support you need. I'm happy to give it to you. So again, thanks so much. Excited to work with you guys, and reach out if you need anything. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.